was putting in the
Guess who's back? Back again. Hope is back. Now I've got a friend. There we go.
Wow, Stan. Thanks.
You're a colleague, Alex. Keep this professional. Doggo.
That's true. In fairness, there is very little which can really.
Doggo.
There is very little which can contend with that. I can take that out.
It is always great to be here with you, and never greater than when we have got a battle between two of the real legacy teams in terms of our previous victors. We are going to be watching Cabbage Family up against DMU T1. Both of these teams are poised right at the very top of the table at 8 wins and 2 losses apiece. Whoever wins this will be guaranteed a tied first spot going into the double elimination bracket.
Sadly, we have, I believe, 3 teams currently on 8 wins, and 2 of them in the very last round are playing each other. No time for any of this narrative nonsense. You know them, top 2 teams from the last split. We have Bristol whipped also at that 8-2 brackets. We have our spring champions 8-2, summer champions in Cabbage Family at 8-2, and DMU are winter champions at 8-2. The entirety of the 2020 legacy teams up there at the top.
I mean, we have some real great teams here. I mean, at the moment, especially based on rankings, none more so than the 3 you just mentioned. But full credit to the team of up-and-coming players who still have an opportunity to do well through a double elimination bracket, cause some upsets. The fact that each of these teams you just mentioned have 2 losses to their name, and they're not just against the teams that we've talked about, means there are some really great upcoming teams. Keep on it. We'll see who we're going to be finding in the double elimination final in around about 4 or 5 weeks' time. However, right now, let's focus on this game. Let's focus on the battle for the number 1 spot coming out of the round robin. We've already got the bands coming through. Cabbage Family take away Morgana, Oriana, Tristana. DMU take away Rel, Ash, and Nidalee.
So when we saw DMU last time on stream, that would have been versus Bristol Whip. We were talking about, oh, heck, this bot lane has some real numbers behind them. They get involved in the game, they get really stuck in, and they love to play on the aggressive side of things. That's why the Trist has been banned away. And now with the Samira being nerfed so heavily too, things are going to move a very different direction for that bot lane. Different direction in the jungle. The heavy dubstep picks up his famed Kayn.
One thing that I'm noticing about this champ select already, Alex, is that the picks are coming thick and fast. Seraphine practically insta-locked on the back of the bans. The Shen, the Kayn, they were both locked in super fast as well. This is the first real delay we've seen coming into any picks. One of the things, of course, with the Seraphine, which is going to leave DMU guessing a little bit, is the fact that it is such a flex pick between ADC, mid, and support.
But we've already got a Poppy locked in too. I mean, this could be most likely top lane. I suppose there's a chance it goes into jungle or support. I'm really not sure what Porp is going to be pulling out there. Well, now with the Camille locked in top, likely for it to be either something like jungle or with a really strange Anivia bot lane, which of course that was the famed combo out of Albus Nox Luna back at Season 6 Worlds way back in the day. On the other side, the Karma locked in another flex pick. These are going fast, Stan.
They go real fast. Like I say, both these teams come with a plan. They know what they want. They also know their position. They have played against each other so many times at this point. With the Poppy, still technically could be a support, could go alongside something like a Senna, for instance, that has been played where the Poppy takes the CS and also you get this big tanky CC monster coming in as well. I don't honestly think that's massively likely. I think it's more likely, as you said, we end up with Poppy jungle, and obviously that has a lovely interaction with the Camille. But we're on to the second round of bans. Already we are seeing a Yone taken away.
So, QR, also known as Sean F90, same player from the last split. You will remember if you watched the finals coming out of winter, the Cabbage family played themselves a Shen Yone combo. They played in Game 4 and Game 5, and things got spicy real quick. They 1-1 and, of course, lost that Game 5. But in Game 4, Alphamos got that pentakill on the Shen, so Spirit taking that away for their first Shen game of this split, though it has to be into Camille. And that can obviously be a bit of a dangerous matchup because Camille loves playing against tankier top laners.
My memories of that game, even though I've watched it back a few times since, are somewhat hazy, partly because I just remember screaming a lot in that game. So much action, and I'm expecting more of the same here. We had kill upon kill in our earlier game between KLS and the Surrey Stags. I'm kind of expecting the same thing here. However, if this Vayne locks in, it may slow down the pace of the game somewhat with the late game hyper carry.
You say that, but, give him 2 items and Vayne's ready to really go. This could be the outside chance of a Vayne going somewhere else.
I'm more interested in the fact that we are seeing such a protect the ADC combo coming in. Shen already there, Karma coming through, opportunity to lock in. I was going to say Orianna mid, but that one's already banned away. Potentially the Karma can go mid, we get another support alongside the Vayne. All sorts of things that can be done to keep Brexit's Lair Soxu alive.
So Bard is locked in now, though. So if you use your Tumble looking for an aggressive trade, well, the Bard ult comes in, and suddenly the protect the ADC can't really do much when they are in stasis. Question is, what's going to fill out the rest of this one? But remember, the dangerous thing here is you've already picked Vayne into Poppy. Yes, you can condemn the Poppy away, but if you start tumbling, and then, of course, Poppy has that W up to Steadfast Presence, it's really awkward for the Vayne. And now going into a Ryze too, when you tumble in, Ryze will explode you.
Honest feeling, seeing that Ryze lock in, seeing the completion of Cabbage Family's draft, what's your first thought?
They have really strong side lane matchups. You have a Camille and you got a Ryze. Wonderful against most side lane matchups in the game, and if you have one which is slightly disadvantageous like the Kassadin, well, the Kassadin can't itemize against both of them. Now this is going to be a game of lane assignment from both of these teams. Globals, skirmishing, ability to cross walls with ease with the Kayn, and of course the Kassadin too from DMU. This is a skirmish comp from both sides. Hell for leather from the get-go.
With the lock-in of the casting, though, I do somewhat feel like Cabbage Family have just had a giant timer strapped above their heads. I think that if we get to round about that 30-minute mark and this game is anywhere near level, with Vayne casting going through, I know Ryze does amazing trend. I know Seraphine scales brilliantly. Kassadin Vayne, though!
Monka S, that little clock emoji, and then 1 out of 16 with a finger pointing to it. You know the drill. Got to count down those levels for us because we can't count them ourselves, chat, can we? But on the other side, that is by no means saying that Ryze isn't going to be a threat this game too, because Ryze similarly, when you get up to later game states, pushes in waves for free, kills Shen for free. Kayn comes running at them and really regrets their decision too. Actually, I look at Heavy Dubstep and I'm wondering what their game plan is. I assume it has to be a Rast game, kind of helping out that front line a bit. But then you also have to be, reaping, slashing through the Poppy Steadfast Presence. There is so much you can block from this Poppy. You put that W up, and then suddenly Vayne, Shen, and Kayn too have a lot to be wary of from that Yordle jungler.
I quickly cast my eyes towards Twitch chat, always a dangerous place for a caster to be. However, there are 2 excellent casters in there already. The delightful Melvin Izzle and Brackish Brit joining in with the commenters, and I can see also that people are very excited for this draft. All sorts of opinions coming in. You will have the opportunity in a moment. Put those opinions, put your money where your mouth is, because the prediction has started. Cabbage Family, DMUT1 going in. Opportunity to gamble responsibly with those Twitch channel points.
Of course, and gambling with their fates are not these teams, hopefully. They'd rather have a more solid handle on these results, our Cabbage Family and DMU, because the winner of this at least gets themselves a tiebreak for first place. This is the very last round of regular season games. Only Bristol Whipped can tie up that first place spot if they do win in their own matchup, which is of course going to be versus ESSKT, who did just lose to Robin's Cringers off stream in that first round. So ESSKT looking to play Blue Shell. This is an important moment for them too. Of course, getting themselves a win in that column would be really important for them. So a lot to play for, a lot of drama. Whew. Let's get ready for it, Sam.
The teams have drafted that have done everything that they can to set themselves up for victory on the Rift. Now their fate is in their hands. But I am feeling brave today. I'm going to put my fate in your hands, Nymera. I want you to give me the prediction to take to the bank, and I have 8,778 Twitch channel points. I will pop them all on whoever you say is going to win. And I don't want you to try and troll me. I want your honest answer.
I'm going with Cabbage Family.
You are actually
I'm going with Cabbage Family, yes, because I look at what can happen with this Cassidy. Camille is one of the better Cassidy answers in the game. Having the X factor of a Bard versus a low-range AD carry, even with move speed increase from the likes of the Karma putting the shields on them, is a dangerous prospect. You have to fight into a Seraphine too, with a lot of champions that want to start rushing into them. Yes, there's the chance you assassinate them with your Kayn knocking up into your Cassidy and following through. But there's a lot of playmaking opportunities from Cabbage Family, which it puts the onus on DMU to outplay these very scary teamfight tools, rather than them, of course, having their own advantages in those skirmish plays.
The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that one of the two teams' points just went up by 8,778, and it was, of course, DMU T1's. I mean, it was one thing for me to take your prediction, Alex, but when I get pants in my ear going, go Cabbage Family, DMUT1, they are taking this win. They are taking my points, if not.
The greatest betrayal in the history of betrayal, Stan.
That's a betrayal, but we're also glad for our friendships and our partnerships here and over at the Null. This entire time we've had, obviously we've had our casting teams, myself and Nightmare have worked together. Brackish, Britt and Melvin has all been wonderful. Patrick on production, all of the team behind making this tournament run. But a huge thank you to the names you can see down the bottom of the screen. Do feel free to check them out, because Unite students, Twitch student and Logitech have been a huge part of the Null this split. So a massive, massive thank you to them as we come into this game.
Absolutely, and of course this is obviously a team effort, not just on the ref, but off of it too for the production. All of us involved, of course. We always trade our opinions on the teams, and so that means when you hear something really bad, you can't just blame me, you got to blame Melvinism too. So just make sure you go DM him if you have any of those thoughts. Of course not. It's been really, obviously, awesome to be involved in the Null again, this split. And great to see such close competition. You know, part of it is, of course, you know, the production put on. A lot of it is due to the games the teams play, and the other part of it is the support coming in from you as well. We don't get to do with all three of those parts working in tandem. Coming into this last game of the regular season, though, things are coming up to a really close head.
It's been a really enjoyable split so far. Very much looking forward to seeing where double elimination takes us. I'm looking forward to jumping onto the Rift for this game, but we have been delayed very slightly with just some minor in-game issues. We'll bring you as much as possible. In the meantime, I have great filler content.
Oh. See, this is the thing. I know Hope is like best Greyhound because they're actually allowed in the room and they don't be yapping quite so much.
Yeah, you hear the other two
broadcast appropriate.
Going, why is she allowed in there? And the answer is exactly because, as you've described it, she is the most broadcast appropriate, unlike her owner. Meanwhile, we're jumping onto the Rift. We're getting into the action in this game. We're seeing both the teams spreading themselves out in a fairly defensive formation. DMU have got the hyperscaling vein. The Cassidy and Cabbage Family have been put on the clock. They themselves opting into the Seraphine in the ADC position. Perhaps this will mean, if the Camille doesn't get going, that they might be lacking in physical damage.
They might be. I mean, there's every chance because there's a Hail of Blades coming out from Poppy. This is actually a Triforce Poppy coming out. I don't know whether that will be the build. And yes, if you wall slam one, it gets slam someone, it gets pretty dangerous. On the other side, speaking of damage, physical damage, this is a Dark Harvest Pain. That signals to me is that there's a good chance we're going to start seeing good old Assassin Kayn coming out of heavy dubstep, and this jungler was the MVP of the winter split. Across the entirety of the UK university scene, this player has impressed. They have been watched very closely by a great many eyes in the scene, and they are now going to be watched again by your eyes, dear viewer. And let's see if they can get some assassinations coming off alongside Sam J's Caston, who of course picks up the fleet footwork on the Caston, helps you just sustain a tad better in those laning phase early trades.
Both junglers looking like they're going to be starting on the top side of the map without a Leash Kayn on the Raptors, Poppy on the Wolves. It is going to be Ryze arriving just a little bit later to the lane than the Shen. Might be just a little bit behind on this opening CS trade.
Lane swap. Okay, so we have the Camille straight into the Caston. Why is this the case? Well, look at that. Yes, you can start W level 1 from Caston if you really want, by the way. Really good into melee matchups. Yeah, not into the two-part auto-attack steroid that is Alpha Moss's Q on the Camille. And Shen also, you know, he loves to use the Spirit Refuge to block out some of those auto-attacks. Ryze don't do much of that in the early game. Gonna keep QEQing as the legend goes. So yeah, okay, I like this lane assignment. As soon as they locked in the Caston, I was like, okay, lane assignment kingdom from both these teams. And early into the game, Cabbage Family realized that and get themselves something in these solo lanes to talk about.
Greg has taken a bit of poke early on, and the Seraphim will be able to heal up a little bit using the aura later on. The junglers taking very, very different paths early on. Just those wolves cleared on the top side by Poppy before going down to the bottom half of the map. Kane, meanwhile, going for the full top side clear before making their way over to the wolves. Will be around about a camp up so far.
For now. So, I mean, one of the issues with this now for Heavy Dubstep is that they're going to be losing out on so much priority. The question is, what can a Poppy jungle do with that? Because, I mean, Poppy is not necessarily a power farm jungler. I would say quite far from it. But what we're really looking for is what's going to happen around these scuttles. We saw that in that last game. Came out to a 2-for-2, all things said and done. Changed the game a large amount from that point. Both these junglers have path towards that bot side, knowing that the Shen and the Ryze going to be having at it, but not really wanting to move out from their lane. Poppy's instead going to recall at this point for an early item complete. Getting boots, in fact. Okay, that's an interesting early buy. Allows them to get around the map just that tad bit quicker.
One of the things sometimes we saw previously with Poppy jungles was the Predator, but it's actually going to be Hail of Blades out of Porp this time round, so it's not like the boots are going to be adding the Predator bonus coming through there. Kane, meanwhile, is going to be able to secure the bot side scuttle free and easy. Poppy will go and take away the blue buff. Probably will get the top side scuttle uncontested, considering how far Ryze have pushed in, but considering there's a recall come out from QQR, maybe not.
I suppose so. I mean, the real question is, are DMU going to start changing around their own lanes and making sure that Cassian can... and of course, the Shen get a bit more CS from this early laning phase. Of course, DMU doing fine in spot side, and that's a big bonus for them because while the solo lane's favorable for Cabbage Family right now, Vayne getting a free lane is dangerous for the side of Cabbage Family. We know what happens with 2 items.
Poppy and Kane, they're meeting around the Raptors of DMU, and actually a decent trade for Porp as they're able to smite one away, get themselves a little bit of extra gold taken from the opposition jungle. Meanwhile, Didol landing the root, but taking the worst of the trade in bot lane.
Yeah, and, well, yes, you can start healing up with Bard Shrines and whatever. You have yourself wave clear from that Seraphine and all of those double up passives. It's still annoying to keep taking all of those trades and make sure, because Vayne is so hard to chunk out at this point. They still have themselves the heal and the ignite on both sides. There is kill pressure inbound, but neither of these junglers want to get involved in it right now.
We've seen so many of these players duel it out against each other before on the Rift across a multitude of games, no matter. So it's interesting to see some new lane assignments. Seeing Sam J going up against Alphamos, actually one I was really, really interested in. And certainly pre-6, things looking great for Alphamos, as you so rightly predicted.
But the question is, what does that lead to? Because, yes, you do have an early CS lead on the Camille, and you can follow up similarly to kind of what Caston wants to do at level 6 too, right? Because you dive super deep, and much like we're talking about this champion being so powerful for Careless's playstyle, where they just continually fight, and the hookshot is so powerful for that. Cabbage Family similarly do that thing in team fights where they just turn on a dime and they start punishing you. Spirit getting punished in the top side, speaking of that. Tier early built up by Ryze, as you expect, and that's going to be a free scaling item for Cabbage Family's AP Mage.
Cabbage Family having drafted this double pushing lane, certainly going aggressive in the early play. We've not seen too much from the Kane so far. Kane, of course, will want to start getting those stacks, will want to get towards transformation as soon as possible, but no real skirmishes apart from that brief meeting of the Poppy. Meanwhile, Poppy is lurking towards the mid lane, perhaps trying to catch Samjay before level 6 is collected for the Caston.
Well, I wonder actually if they're waiting for level 6 to go in and then use the null. Actually, Caston can't ult away now.
Sam J gets completely caught out by the Hextech Ultimate, flashes away, gets the standing idol on top of him. Heavy Dubstep comes in for the counterplay. Alphamos is trying to get to safety. He's surviving by mere inches, but Sam J continuing the chase. Unable to get the kill. In the end, I do believe that QQR was able to stop Spirit during the fray, even though the shield came through.
That was the Rune Prison used. No flash even needed for the Ryze, but it's a flash away from the Camille. Both mid laners now without that summoner spell. I think that's a win for DMU. Caston is still gonna be able to get back into lane. Doesn't lose a huge amount for that aggressive attempt. Spirit, though, might be the collateral.
Porp gets absolutely bopped, and QQR still not burning any summoner spell and collecting first blood. And 800 gold lead for the Cabbage Family. Meanwhile, on the bottom half of the map, Kane looking to maybe make something happen. Instead, he settles for a Scuttle Crab.
Settles for a Scuttle Crab, and I mean, QQR might need to change his name once again to QEQ. Lands the combo as the wall stun came through. Shen going to use that teleport to the top side of the map to collect the wave at turret. Means that there's no global now available from that top side of the map, where it is still available for Ryze. Dangerous for the side of the bot lane of DMU if they were going to push up, and actually knowing that they just say, right, we're just going to use this time to recall, get ourselves our first item completion in that Noon Quiver for the Vayne, going of course towards something like that Kraken Slayer for the AD carry. And one of the other things I guess we've got to talk about this game is that we haven't had an early dragon. Neither of these teams have particularly wanted to go towards that. It's been more about those kills and the gold advantages on individual members.
Glad you brought it up now, Mary, because I was just about to go to that point. Given that we've got super scaling for DMU and this small early lead for Cabbage Family, I kind of expected them to try and play around these objectives. But yet again, I bring up that point. Actually, their damage might be slightly missing, certainly their physical damage in the early game, with only really the Camille getting anything going. And even that Camille without a kill or anything to their name. QQR taking a turret shot, Spirit trading back.
Yes, but I mean, look, this is a Rise. Shen doesn't have that much outplay. Horrible. Versus this champion, you are just a tier stack bot for this Rise. That's partly why this lane assignment has been so effective for Cabbage Family. You get to push in permanently on that top side. Spirit hasn't been able to impact the map. And we'll really be looking for this Kassadin to come online and having heavy dubstep start roaming around. And hopefully, after that point, the Shen will just be able to shield someone more important than himself and impact and win the game that way.
Already we're seeing mostly Grumpy able to find the connection with the pathway, finding Didol in a huge amount of trouble. Gregors is fed the kill in the end with 3 potential people who could have secured it for Cabbage Family. It was very intentional that this goes on to the Seraphine.
It was, I think, as soon as you get up to 1-2 items on the Seraphine, your team fights become that much more potent. It's a huge flex pick, as you were saying, right in the early way into that draft. It's just an important pick when you are trying to pile on with this heavy skirmish dive-in style with, like, the Kayn with the Shen riding on top of them and having the Kassadin diving in too. Having the Seraphine be able to heal you up and continue the team fight as it elongates is important for Cabbage Family. And now with that extra gold, they're getting closer towards that breakpoint.
And that early dragon picked up at the 8-minute mark. I suppose it's not especially early, but it's still a nice little boost for Cabbage Family. It's Cloud, so it doesn't mean they're going to be...
they've had.
Yeah,
they've had the bot lane pushing in against them. Normally, it's the winning bot lane that goes towards it, because when you have a winning bot side, easiest way to win the game is stack dragons. Cabbage Family take that against the head. Of course, there's still gold onto this vein, but yes, dragon over to Cabbage Family.
And it does mean that they will have that additional cooldowns on ultimates as well, which could come in absolutely crucial. Things like the Hextech Ultimatum. Alpha Moss not able to use this one yet. He's going to use it as heavy dubstep comes in. A crucial bop away from Porp there as the Keeper's Verdict comes through. And heavy dubstep goes dead.
Goes dead, hit by the turret a few too many times. Kill participation over to Samjay on the Kassadin though. Camille, been punishing in laning phase, 17 CS lead. Yes, that's nice, but is it enough for the cost of letting Kassadin into this game? That's something that, what's that phrase again? Time will tell, Stan.
I've only done it once on this broadcast, alright? I'm just saying. We are seeing the serrated Dirk being picked up by Kayn, so looks like we are very much going towards assassination potential for Kayn rather than any kind of extra tankiness from the Rust, and that's going to be quite interesting as the game goes later and later. We saw what an overly aggressive jungle could do in the last game with Trilife taking over the game as the Nidalee, but given how much damage will come through from things like the Cast in the Vein in the late game, I did expect heavy dubstep to go maybe slightly tankier, as I believe you did as well.
I would have maybe expected it, seeing, you know, that there wasn't a great amount of frontline, but if you manage to get on top of, well, anyone, because Cabbage Family don't have a tank, because, surprise, surprise, it is going to be that Sheen coming out of Porp, so likely going to be that Triforce, unlikely to be the Divine Sunderer. You can remove someone very early from the fight, and if we know anything about Heavy Dubstep, they are a very proficient duelist and pathing jungler. So having that ability to take matters into their own hands, very important for this player.
Tempered Fate does not connect the charm, however, does Didol get stunned down, rooted for days, mostly Grumpy putting down the damage from the meat. Alpha Moss comes in, secures the kill, but Heavy Dubstep arrives to turn this one around. Porp's here to make it a 4v2, still in favour of Cabbage Family though, and Heavy Dubstep are immediately sent running back to the safety of their own turret. A quick hook shot later, and Alpha Moss finds a delayed double. It's going to be the ultimate Heavy Dubstep, using it onto Gregors to make it a 2-for-1 overall. Keeper's Verdict is going to get the old bop away onto the Kassadin. A prolonged fight once again on the bottom half of the map. Spirit on the other side of the map, taking a huge amount of damage from QQR.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of it, I mean, QQR just sits there, gets another load of CS under turret, hammering away at that top lane outer. But Samjay now looking to see if he can get involved in the game, but he's been second to the roam a few too many times for DMU's liking.
Didol trying to help Samjay out with picking up this kill, but Porp is arriving on the mid part of the map. Samjay able to get out of trouble. Porp trying to find knockouts, trying to find a steadfast presence to Keeper's Verdict. Wasn't to be this time, especially as one of them was on cooldown.
That it was. What I really like about Cabbage Family and what they're attempting onto this casting is they're saying, actually, Post 6, Kasten is safer than they were, but actually your first level ult cooldown is still high. Oh man,
wow.
This is what happens when you allow a Ryze a free lane too. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, Kasten versus Ryze. Well, yeah, Kasten is scales, so does Ryze. Surprise, surprise. But
He's taken all of that away. That's so horrible.
It's literally, he just walks up. He says, "Yes, I mean this is still my lane, right? Yeah, these are just minions which are slightly more rocky than the rest of them. Sure, I'll take them anyway." But when you're looking at what this mid jungle duo of Cabbage Family have been doing, they've been punishing the low cooldown, the high cooldown of Kasten's first level Rift Walk, and saying if you use that aggressively, we're going to immediately pile on. Speaking of that, Greg's getting piled on the spot side.
Didal finds the root. Soxu coming forward, landing a silver bolt, but isn't going to be able to get that explosion. Now Alphamos with the teleport is catching out the opposition in between turrets. Soxu's going to get a stand united on top of them and now finds the silver bolt. Proc Taunt is going to connect. Shutdown goes over to Spirit rather than Soxu, somewhat questionably. The final hour being used, and I feel like the Vayne could have picked up that kill. Didal now again trying to land the root onto Gregors, who now has the support of QQR and mostly Grumpy. Stun will connect even despite the flash over the wall, and Didal caught out, gets absolutely bopped by the Poppy. Didal trying to escape, but Chilling Smite comes in. Temper Fate goes wide of both Soxu and Spirit as well as mostly Grumpy comes in. QQR with a flash, with a Q, takes a kill. Now it's Spirit who's rooted underneath turret. He flashed himself away, but it's Porp who's coming in. Down the backside, he's going to be able to get that one. Now in comes Sam J. He cleans up one kill, but again, it's an overall win for Cabbage Family, just as Dragon Sports.
It is. Sam J at least picks up some gold. Everfrost already completed for the Ryze, though. Teleports in, does so much damage. Free farming Ryze compared to the Kasten who has been held down in the early game. Difference is night and day at this juncture in this game. Sam J will really hope that this game will elongate itself a little more so he can get more involved. Because right now it is Cabbage Family taking fights on their terms and they're winning them.
Heavy dubstep, not even able to get that transformation yet, not even getting himself out of trouble as immediately you see damage put down. Porp will have the humble trespass inside of them, but still gets the kill onto the opposition jungler. Alphamos now continue to chase with the hook shot, will look to land the stun. Soxu, who's completely lost out. Double kill for Porp. It has been a day for the junglers, and Porp is a 5-0-2 Poppy.
Cabbage Family are determined to not lose to DMU once again. Of course, this was such a close head-to-head rivalry coming out of winter. If you take those finals, put this game into contention, they would actually be 3-3 over the last 6 games. This really is one of the best historical matchups that the Newell has got to offer. It is coming to your screens, and as you were saying, these junglers are reveling in it.
Sam J, mate, yeah, you there? Yeah. I've got like 8,000 points riding on this game. Can you pull your finger out and
Didal, can you just go bot lane? I've also got points riding on this.
Yeah, Kasten, I need you to start securing kill. Look, why are you letting your support die? Yeah, you need to work on it. Okay, I'll PayPal you. All right, bye.
Okay.
Just word coming in. Sam J's about to start making a turnaround, but he's going to have to start with seeing Soxu fall because the Temper Fate catches absolutely perfectly onto the Vayne. Alphamos picks up a 3rd kill of the game. Things looking bleak for DMU.
Oh gosh, picks up the Immortal Shield Bow, goes for the the secondary item choice for Vayne, has a flash, has the final hour, just has no chance in hell of getting out of that play. Cabbage Family really understanding where they can move across the map. While this is happening, yes, they lose a mid wave, but it's not like they're losing the turret. And they're forcing this Vayne out of another set of experience and money from that cannon wave hitting turret. Really is an expert guide in how to put on a tempo clinic from Cabbage Family, using this Camille mid to just roam completely out of their lane and say, it doesn't matter if we're not killing this Kasten in lane, we just kill everything around them because he can't impact the map right now.
Spirit might be the next to be called out by Porp, yet again coming in with the ganks. The damage from QQR is absolutely monstrous. 3-0-2 on the Ryze. Now, we have finally had that transformation, I believe, for heavy dubstep RMX, but it feels a little too late at this point.
That it does. So he's going towards the Manamune build, really nice in terms of getting the extra on-hit damage, which increases when you're a melee champion, onto your skills and abilities. I'm just wondering if it's going to be completed in time for him to actually have an impactful team fight. They're invading into this bottom side. It's 2 minutes, though, until the next dragon spawns. Not really in the time span that they want. I think they're really just trying to get some kind of vision, win that information war, or at least contesting it better than they have been, to allow someone to safely farm across this map.
Didol not even safely able to get a fourth hit onto that ward, since scurrying for the safety of their own jungle before able to clear out the control ward at the dragon. Third dragon will be spawning in less than 2 minutes time. Would be a third dragon towards Cabbage Family, who have dominated this early game. We said they were on a timer. They're certainly playing like it. They've got a 13-4 kill lead. It is only a 4,000 and a bit gold lead, however, and I've definitely seen teams here in the Null come back from these.
That they have. I think there's a really important thing I'd want to touch back on right away from draft, actually, because we'll notice that Cabbage really banned away Morgana this game. Why is that important? Because they knew that they were putting a lot of agency into their solo lanes and saying, bot lane, you're gonna have to suck it up. They banned away that Morgana, and without the optimized kill pressure of something like that Tristana, something like that Morgana too, DMU have struggled to use their strongest part of the map to their advantage, and well, now they're staring down, as you're saying, a huge gold lead, and with all the playmaking tools and the vision to go with it, Cabbage Family don't seem like they're letting up. Look how far Didol has to stand back. He can't walk past the wolf pit.
He can't. Knows exactly what is waiting for him in that blue buff, a bit of bush, and as a result, he's going to be zoned completely out. No vision to be secured. Perhaps we'll see a collapse on top side. Heavy dubstep RMX maybe trying to find something on towards this Rive, but QQR, as well as farming up a storm, has been playing safe.
Has been, but I mean, there is always the question of, okay, well, Caston's level 11 now, that's all right, but he's got himself a late tier. 36 stacks at 18.5 minutes. Not where you want it. Whereas on the other side, I mean, Rise almost fully stacked on his to although he's got a garage sale of items in his inventory. Not going towards that, of course, the Seraph's Embrace too soon just yet. But yeah, it just seems like this casting has been held down enough for Cabbage Family's liking. The question is, even if DMU take themselves one fight, what does it actually get them? How far does it get them into the game? Because they're not going to get themselves, you know, a big dragon advantage. They're staring down 2 dragons. There's a Herald in mid too, losing that mid lane outer turret. They have no platform to play the map on. They're losing side lanes, and they can't wave clear against this.
More gold goes over to Cabbage Family, and they will line their wallets even more. While this is all happening, Alpha Moss is securing the 3rd dragon of the game. That one's going to go over uncontested. Spirit is one of the first members of DMU for so long to even get in range to try and strike a turret, and even that only takes a tap or 2 before Shen goes back to base, just as the mountain dragon falls.
How bad does it feel for DMU's comp right now? When you look at this, and it's been a while since we've talked about it. It's something which a number of caster friends, which I've talked about, have reprised in recent weeks in terms of the double tier trough. You have a double tier trough for Kassadin and Kayn when you have 0 wave clear. Shen can't wave clear if Ryze walks up. Kassadin cannot walk up if the Seraphine and Bard are there. Thane is a notoriously champion that was kept out of the pro meta for so long because they don't have that same wave clear. And now you have to wait for power spikes to come online. You know, mid and jungle, which are going to be a core part of the skirmish style. DMU have to wait for so long to be able to contest in this game, whereas Cabbage Family feel very content to keep pressuring across the map.
And pressure they will continue to do. Of course, as those items do start to come through, maybe that's when we start to see the fights turned around. It does feel a lot like DMU have essentially forfeited the early game, probably forfeiting even the mid game at this point, and just desperately hoping they're still got enough of their base remaining as we come towards late.
Yes, that's going to be the point. The question is, how far behind is too far behind? If you had maybe a better wave clearing bot lane, or something like your Kai'Sa or your Misfortune, or you're even an Ezreal, right? Maybe you can hold waves a little longer. Because now this Vayne is so far behind, they're not going to be winning their skirmishes too well. See Soxu rolling forward, but not enough to convince Alpha Moss to go in. And now the Baron is started up. Blue Trinket used. That's one checking tool amongst very few left now for DMU. And the next time that Cabbage Family approach it, DMU, I don't know if they've got what it takes to stop it.
We've already seen how hard it is for Didol to get into their own jungle to find any vision. Never mind all the way to the Baron pit. We're 21 minutes into the game, and it feels like Cabbage Family have got all the right cards in their hand. The question is, will they play them out and secure themselves victory, which will mean that they are guaranteed, at the very least, tied 1st position. Well, it may actually, I will rephrase. They're guaranteed at least 2nd position. I think it will go down to a head-to-head matchup for whether they get 1st position with Bristol whipped or not. And I do not remember who won that game, unfortunately.
Well, this is the thing, right?
Did we cast it?
Yeah. We cast DMU Cabbage Family, but in terms of the other one, just looking through what Cabbage Family had, they ended up winning versus Bristlewood in their very last round, in round 9. So actually, if DMU were to win, and then Bristlewood were to win, they were to get second. Cabbage Family could secure themselves first, though, and that's what they would really want. Because, of course, they have stated that actually, you know, they were sad that, of course, that they couldn't end up contending for that UEM spot, which was claimed by DMU from that last split. So they said, well, screw it, we're just going to have to win this split. Will it be off the back of this Baron? Well, they're starting up now. Heavy Dubstep looking to check.
Baron is down to half, but Heavy Dubstep is here. Control Ward popped into the pit with 3k health. It is Cabbage Family who decide not to even think about risking a 50-50 Baron, instead securing themselves a little bit of vision in the scuttle, taking away a blue buff for the Rise.
I think that's where Cabbage Family could lose the game genuinely. If they end up throwing around a Baron, that's where bad things happen. Don't choose to go for it. Important interaction with Kane's E when he's inside a wall, by the way. You know how when you play against a Kane, you see that little dot on the edge of the wall when he's inside the wall? So when Kane is in the wall, he can tell if there is an enemy champion within a brush, even if he doesn't have vision in it, because that little ball will be there for his vision. So if he's walking up towards that red buff and goes into the wall, he can tell if there is a trap waiting by Cabbage Family, uses that to check, knows it's safe to go and put that ward into the Baron pit. It does mean that they can stave off that start at least.
It's not one of the most interesting things in the world to talk about, but there are two things that strike out to me looking at the CS scores across the map. Number one is this phenomenal number for the Rise, 234 CS at 23
Cosmic
minutes.
Drive too, that's a lot of haste.
Yeah, completely dominating their side lane wherever they end up being, which usually has been top side, but also just how much of the resources are getting funneled into Heavy Dubstep. RMX has now completed I think is that the Prowler's Claw?
Prowler's Claw, yes.
Alongside the Umbral Glaive, that tier still stacking up. We saw just a moment ago some of their laners, Samjay and Spirit, actually going, yeah, okay, in comes the Kane, let's let them take away some more of these, some more of this CS. So they're very much putting a lot into Heavy Dubstep as a basket to put their eggs in. I've done it again. Will I do it again? Time will tell.
Well, much like the aforementioned Bunny, the Heavy Dubstep will be hopping from camp to camp, taking up the walls, and what this has led to is a level lead in the jungle. That means it's no longer a 50-50. There is a slight advantage on the smite to Heavy Dubstep, and maybe that does mean that DMU can stall out the game a little more, while Cabbage Family say, actually, you know, this Baron stuff, that's kind of dangerous. One thing which Cabbage Family would really like to do, of course, is take themselves this Dragon Soul. DMU have traded that attempt into this bot lane, bot side jungle from Cabbage Family for vision on the top side of the map. They're going to give over Dragon Soul, it looks like, just for controlling the Baron side of the map.
I said it earlier on, they're happy to just get to the late game and hope that they've got enough resources at that point. They lose out on Mountain Soul. The question is, on a scale of 1 to 4, with 1 being the very best soul that this Cabbage Family lineup could have had and 4 being the worst, where does Mountain Soul go in your eyes?
So, you don't have a full tank top laner, but when you're dealing against a very bursty team composition, that extra HP does matter, right? The question is that Mountain Soul going to be enough to save someone like QQR until the point where they can get an extra Q, extra EQ out to nuke someone if they were going to go down anyway? I think that just having, of course, even something like the Cloud Soul, basically, for particularly the Seraphine and the Bard, you might be using that on cooldown looking for picks. It's more important. They have themselves that soul, though. And now there's remember, the jungle lead is over to DMU. They might have to go for a steal.
This is the first time Cabbage Family have been grouped around 5 as this Baron, and this time they look like they might want to flip this one. It's down to 4,000 health already. They're clearing out the vision. They're continuing with it. Heavy Dubstep, RMX looking
dangerous.
Does have a little bit of vision. This is going to be Soxu trying to get a bit of a flank on the other side. Baron down to 3,000 health as the Temper Fade beautifully connects onto Heavy Dubstep, and that is going to be the beautifully secured Baron going over to Cabbage Family. Now they look for the fight. They have got so much damage, and they are absolutely whacking the opposition around with their wallets, but Kane finds a shot down onto 4. Now it's a 5 versus 4. Sox who tries to get damage on the QQR, who's threading with the Q. Alpha Moss secures the kill onto the main, and Dido will die after going golden. Heavy Dubstep RMX is left alive, but there aren't any low health targets for him to try and assassinate, and as a result, the team that gets Baron looks like they'll win the fight as well. Alpha Moss having to keep on chasing. Mostly Grumpy looks for a potential Q, but it's not going to connect. It's going to be 2 kills and a Baron going over to Cabbage Family, and all they lose is their jungler.
It takes a little while for them to get to it, but 15 kills to 5. Now with the Soul and the Baron in place, they're going to run into the base.
QQR eviscerates the health bar of Heavy Dubstep. RMX, mostly Grumpy, gratefully receives the kill in return. The Nexus turrets will now be under threat, and there is a 35-second death timer on this Kane. Soxy will be coming back. There are still only 4 members of Cabbage Family pushing up with the Baron. They want to end right here, right now. They're worried about the timer that they're on, and they're going so aggressive. Spirit takes a huge amount of damage, but stays alive. as Vayne finds the shutdown onto the Camille. Alpha Moss is dead, but the turnaround from QQR is absolutely massive. Guy will get shredded. So does Samjay. So does Soksu. And that could easily be the game-winning play. QQR with the rise doing work. Cabbage family will secure themselves first place in the round robin with victory over their old rivals DMUT1. It's a sweet victory for the Cabbage family. They find themselves revenge. Samjay does everything he can to delay what seems like the inevitable. Heavy dubstep comes back from the dead, only to be sent straight back to the fountain. He will find the Umbral Trespass, but that is not even close to enough. QQR is absolutely godlike. A 7-0-4 performance from the mid laner turned top laner. The Tempered Fade arrives as the Nexus disappears, and that's your lot.
And Cabbage family, the team which has been together for years, in their final split together as a unit, finished first in the regular split, looking to go further than they ever have done before. Of course, looking to take this one championship they took back in summer, trying to claim a spring title for themselves, maybe even qualify for something greater later on. And QQR, well, it's not a QR code, but Cabbage family scanned that rise into the game, and looks like it's a ticket to first place. Well done.
What a terrific victory from Cabbage family. They pretty much dominated that game from the opening moments. They knew they had the lane pressure, as you talked about during draft. They did not allow DMU that time to scale. And when finally they decided to pull the trigger on what was a game-ending play, first of all, essentially flipping that Baron to an extent, though they did it excellently with the Tempered Fate, and then securing the kill onto the Kayn. Even so, they did slightly flip it, but they made it work. Then they took the fight, and then you just saw from that moment they didn't want to back off. They didn't want to go, all right, yeah, just maybe one Nexus or just an inhibitor. They wanted that there and then. That could have gone horrifically wrong, but QQR was so insane in those fights.
It was, and again, this is another game where, I mean, we saw Careless in the last game play towards their style, and, you know, I love how the Newell teams just play towards what they're comfortable in. They play to their identity. They don't try and stretch to the meta, even if it technically are more efficient picks or things which have been better at the pro level. These teams play exactly the style that they want to. Seeing particularly that bot side play where Cabbage family kept following up with pick after pick, the Seraphine not leading to a final kill, was beauty to behold. They are maybe now the team to watch going into playoffs. Between them and Bristol Whips and DMU, 3 teams right at the top, which are all so scary, and they're not even the end of the conversation. Of course, you got teams like KLS and all the other teams who are going to qualify.
It's true. I mean, just like looking towards where things are in the standings right now, it's absolutely incredible to look at. We've seen a few teams all but guarantee their places. There are still places up for grabs, though. Even now, we have Robbins Cringers, Lincoln Ascended, and ESSKT, and all on 4-0-6. Robbins Cringers 5-0-5. But all those teams could still secure those 7th and 8th slots. So we'll bring the updates next week in terms of who has managed to find their way through to the final 8. We will be back, of course, for all of the action from this double elimination bracket. Starting next week, we will have a best of 1 match in the first round of the double elim to find out who goes in the top and the bottom half of the brackets. And we will also bring you the first best of 3 next week as well, whether that be from the top or the bottom half of that double elimination bracket. Those games will be brought to you by Brackish Brit and by Melvin. Is also, I can promise you right now that you will be in safe hands for those games. Also, of course, you'll have the wonderfully safe hands of our terrific production. That's your man, Patrick Pants Campbell, as well. So, huge love to them and to everyone else involved with putting these tournament on. Massive thanks to the teams today, because they have delivered 2 games of terrific quality on the Rift for us here at the Newell. We're back, I believe, tomorrow with another game that's not League of Legends, but I'm sure it's still good. Oh, okay, it's not as good. No, I'm kidding. TFT is here tomorrow, and I'm sure that'll be absolute top quality as well. And all that remains for me to say is it's been great being here with you. Hope. I'm so glad I brought you into the room. Big girl Hope. Nightmare, you've been cool too. Good night, everybody.
Trying to repent before you sin. dancing in their line, paths that we could never run. Oh, they were dancing way up high. Stars were dancing in their line, future we will never run. Dirt on our feet was bone dry, it was bone dry. Thought another goal is all we needed, taking second chances till we bleed. And when all love had been depleted, we had but no choice to concede. As the stars were dancing in their line, paths that we could never run. Oh, they were dancing way up high. Stars were dancing in their line, future we will never run. Dirt on our feet was bone dry, it was bone dry. That's why